Don't look at the. Don't look. This has to be very. Okay. Ants. Wait, I gotta. Okay.
That works.
I'm doing.
Oh man, where's the earmuffs in the park?
Okay. The Australian giant sandworm.
That's not your name.
That's true. That's not
Okay. Can you get the?
No will.
Thank you. Okay, so first I'm just gonna go over like a bunch of the major like phylums of sandworm that are like the most common. So the most like common, has the most diverse species, is the polychaetes, which is what the Australian giant sandworm falls into. They're the most diverse, and they're mainly like separated and like noted by their segments, because like they have all these like segments and stuff, and like that they use like the hair on the sides to like move around and stuff. Can you like go to?
Oh, next one? Oh, we're not gonna talk about
No,
the
wait,
ones?
wait, you'll see.
Gotcha. Oh, I see.
Oh.
Wow.
So we got flatworms.
That's me.
This is what most of the time making this presentation went into. But like, these are like, they could be either free living or parasitic, but usually they're not like sand or sand bound. They're like just in the water. The flatworms are mostly noted by the fact that they don't have an anus, they just have a mouth. And so they just kind of like take stuff in, and then
It leaches out.
it just like, no, it doesn't, I don't even think it leaches, it's just like, I don't even know how they,
It's one track, so it just goes back up.
That's so.
yeah,
they puke
yeah,
it?
that's
Yeah.
true.
You
What?
puke it?
I don't even think there's like a puke, I think it's just like, kind of just like, miss out, but like, yeah. And then the next one is the Nemerteans that are basically like the same. They're very similar, except they have an anus, and they're like more three-dimensional. Like they're just like, I don't know. They're also called like ribbon and proboscis worms because they have proboscises, and they're like, they sort of move in this like contracting like motion. If you go to the next, actually this is like the visual of what they look like, and then the next one is they just use their proboscis to like stun their prey, and like not necessarily, they don't eat it through the proboscis. They can, like sometimes it's attached to the mouth, but other times it's like they have to like bring it closer to them to the side in order to get it into the mouth for them to like digest it. I thought this picture was funny because it's eating the polychaete. And then here's just like, I just thought those are really cool, but like then you can see like their proboscis is like all this whole thing in there, so they like, the way they like use it is they just like, they build up a lot of pressure within their body, they sort of like forces it to go out, like go inside out, and just like that's how it like attaches. So sometimes it isn't like this one, it's like connected to the mouth, and this one too, even though it's like kind of folded in. But this one down here, you can see the proboscis is like out here, and then it has to bring like the prey in through the mouth down here, instead of it just being directly attached. This isn't it, by the way.
Yep.
The next one's
Just on a delay, right? Or am I hitting it again?
No.
Alright.
Wait. Just give it. You can hit it again, but then you should. Go back because it's.
And then go back.
Spoilers.
Oh.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is just like a broader like look at all the different phylums. You can see the Nemerteans are up over here, and then the like flowers, and then like everything else is over here. But then this whole thing is kind of just like why are you chiggling? But
What do you say?
they're all like kind of like they'll just come from this like class. So if you can go to the next one.
Yep.
These are spoonworms. These two like are basically just, they're types of polychaetes, but they're like, they were initially classified as different worm into like different worm classes just because they were so different, but then they're like more molecular stuff that they found are more similar to polychites than other ones. These ones are really ugly and I hate them. They have no segments and they have this like spoon, which is why they weren't classified as polychites because they're just weird, but they have like this weird spoon-shaped proboscis where they like dig up the stuff. That's how they like get their food. It's like they use it more like a spoon, and then here you go. The next one. There's the Pogonophora, which like these ones don't even have internal organs. These have no internal organs. It's just like a tube, and they like have this symbiotic relationship with like these bacteria, and that's how they like feed and live.
So do they asexually reproduce?
And then they have like
Asking questions.
and then they probably and then they live like at the bottom of the ocean near the hydrothermic vents and near like coal tubes. They're non-motile and they're they just kind of chill at the bottom of the ocean and like they're not like sandbound. They just sit there.
Probably like budding. So you've heard of budding? Yeah. That's probably how they reproduce, is my guess.
There we go.
Oh.
Okay, so this is the three like main specific species that are kind of classified as the sandworm are the Australopithecus pariteris and the Injusticeras. Like those are mostly the two that are going to be referred to, just because that's the one that they have the most information on, and like the Australopithecus hirsuta is like they're just also not that common. They're very similar, but they're just like it's just kind of less talked about because of the like research done on the other two. This one's also similar, but for the same reason. It's just kind of like people don't care about it. So these are most commonly found along like the eastern and southeastern shores of Australia. They're really long. They have like they can they can get up to like over 3 meters. They really use their like the setae on their on like their I forgot what the word's called. It's later in the presentation, but it's like they just use these really strong hairs to like move around and like dig in the sand. They are omnivores, so like they'll eat detritus, just like seaweed, mostly dead meat if they can, and then like if you've seen like those videos of people trying to fish for sandworms, they'll like wiggle the meat of the just like dead fish, and then it'll like come up. So usually what these guys do is they're like underground in the sand for a long time, and then when they sense something up the surface of the sand, they just basically go vertically straight up. And
How do they sense things?
That's true. I know they do that. Do they with their eyes?
yeah, with their eyes.
Oh.
No, I don't. I think they just like
I guess vibration.
Yeah,
Right? Is that
I
what
would-
you're?
yeah, because it's like they have like literally all of these hairs to like detect it. It's like that's also.
But if they're eating like fish carcasses and things like that, they must have some sort of sense of smell, or
Yeah.
I would imagine some sort of primitive, sort of, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not their eyes.
3 meters is terrifying.
Yeah.
That's a little
Yeah.
Okay, next. Okay.
freaky word.
Oh yeah. This is just another close up of like their face. This isn't the exact species, but like I just thought it was like the closest image I could find of their head. So it's like they have like these more advanced jaws compared to other worms of their like class and just like other worms in general. And then you can kind of see like the thicker hairs that they use to move.
If they're 3 meters long, do you have an idea on like diameter, how big around they are?
I did. I think usually it's not more than like a centimeter or two. It's usually just length.
Really?
Yeah, I
So
think
like this?
Oh, yeah, I think maybe like a few, but like it's not like they're not wide. They're
They're not
usually
like-
just they're just long.
Oh, that's so
This is just a visual of where they're most found. I think I've seen some other maps where they like extend where they're seen like all the way right here, but they're only found in Australia and only on those beaches because they rely on like all of the they rely on their food to be washed up onto the shores in order to eat it. Their main predators are really only birds and fish.
But you said that they eat
They do. They can eat like dead.
But are they gonna catch a bird? Is what I
Oh no, they're not gonna go out. But like, if they're the only way that they can be like caught is if they're emerged and they're eating something. The parapodia, that's like that's just like the way that they move the. Oh, I didn't mean to touch that. But when they're underground, they can like burrow in a specific spot for a long time because they can secrete this like mucus that like just hardens the sand around them and it just kind of like allows them to just like build it. Yeah, they just build like a sand house and then they like can just chill in there. Their reproductive age is like it's not really like a time. It's more of just like the length. 40 centimeters is when they're like able to reproduce and stuff, and that's when like the female like sends out like tickles or something for like the male to release like the gametes, and then like the females that do the same thing, and then they just kind of like meet in somewhere in the sand, and then the eggs are fertilized, and then they like they're not usually like sand bound. They're usually in the water, and then that's where the eggs like develop in like a water column or something until they become larvae, and then I think when they reach about like 3 centimeters in length, they go back into the sand and just chill there until they're of reproductive size, and then yeah, the larvae just feed on phytoplankton and everything. And then so the significance of these worms is just like they help to break down detritus and everything, which is good for the nutrients, good for the nutrients that are in the sand. And even just like in general, worms just break down stuff and return nutrients to the soil. And it just helps to remove dead organisms too, just like, you know, cleaning things up. And then they are collected. The main like interaction that humans have with them is they are collected for like bait for fish, and there's like they usually just they're created like or caught both like recreationally and commercially for just for they can be like caught for like fishing industries and stuff. The Fisheries Act of 1994, the Fisheries Regulation of 2008, and the Queensland Boating Fisheries Patrol they all work to like regulate how much these fishermen can collect the sandworms in order to like prevent a bunch of people from like just destroying the beach and like the population of sandworms. But there used to be legislation in like certain areas where like fishermen could only carry a certain number of these worms, but they removed it because they didn't need it because no one was over like fishing them because like there's just so many worms, and so the only real concern is with like seagrass meadows. In Australia, like if seagrass is just like the whole habitat like is just really fragile, and it provides like a sort of nursery area for like young fish, and just like a lot of species in Australia rely on seagrass meadows, and since they're so fragile, it's like easy to just like overfish them, kill the plants that like make the meadow what it is, and then it just like destroys it. So there is legislation on like you have to like be very vigilant about like when you take up the plants, you have to immediately replant them because they can recover easily then. And then there's some movement restrictions. So if you go to the next one, actually.
Next one? Okay.
This is an image of some guy pulling up a worm.
Good golly.
Oh, that's
and so yeah, usually what they do is they put like
Should be too intimidating.
they just like hold dead fish above it, and then when the sandworm emerges and attaches to it, they take pliers and then just like yank it out.
Do people eat them?
People?
Yeah, do people eat them?
I guess I could. I don't know. There's nothing. Technically, they're eating them.
I
because
feel
they're
like
using
the
them as
first
fish bait.
impulse wouldn't be to eat it.
Will they chew on your feet?
No, because like your feet move too much.
What if my feet are still?
I mean like
Will they?
it's not like open flesh, so it's probably not gonna be like sense or something about them. If they use like a their like sense of smell or like any sort of detection, it's not like I don't know. There's like not really people don't get bitten by them.
Okay.
How did they respire? They're in
They're-
sand all day, right? Or water all day. How do they?
Countercurrent.
Countercurrent gas exchange.
But they don't have gills, do they?
They might.
No, they're worms. They're worms. Some worms like breathe through their skin. I don't know. And then like there's some movement restrictions just because some of them carry white spot disease. That's what white spot disease is. So if like if they're using it as bait and they carry this stuff, like it can spread around to other fish, and then it's just really bad because it's just a parasite that like prevents it. Just like it's very bad. So they just have fishermen in Australia just have to be careful where they go.
Wait, that's a parasite?
Yeah.
Does he know?
Oh yeah, YouTube Shorts. I got a YouTube short for you guys.
Did you know that every time you walk on the beach in Australia, you're potentially walking over a monster? And if you were to simply just take a fish and run it over the sand, you would see that these creatures start coming out to try to eat it. These are called the giant sandworm, and they only live in South Australia, but they can get up to 3 feet long, and they
That's
truly
not
are a
true. They get to 3
nightmarish
meters
creature.
long.
Fishermen usually catch these to use as bait, and in order to catch one, you just have to get a nasty piece of fish, run it over the sand, get a pair of pliers, and squeeze that worm, picking him up, and now you have some bait to catch whatever fish you want. Just be careful, because just like their cousin the bobbit worm, they do bite, and once you snag one, you can use it to catch a bluefish, a flatfish, or even a striped bass, and these all taste really good, so you're in great hands. Like the video, or one of these will grab you and pull you under the sand when you're at the beach.
All the way under the sand.
That was crazy. Alright, hopefully I can get past everything.
I
Yep.
can't breathe that sand.
What?
No.
Midterms are us?
No.
No way.
Yeah.
No!
Look at that.
So the ones near us and like beach worms and sandworms are like everywhere because we got worms everywhere. So we're obviously gonna have them, but they're nowhere near as long. The most we can get is like 4 feet, which is kind of lame. But like like around here, they're like the most common or the largest like worm fishery around here is in Maine, and that's like one of the only worm fisheries that are like the largest enterprise. Yeah, and those are like the bloodworms, and this is the bloodworm. That's like its head. It's kind of gross.
Oh.
But the next one is the other species, and these are both in the phylum Annelida, and some are in Maine are like commercially grown, but others are harvested, and the ones that are harvested are like they use rakes and they just kind of rake them up and then collect them and put them in a bucket, and then like people pay money for them. And then yeah, they usually just harvested at beaches at low tide, and they're not like you don't have to like dig around for them. Usually you can just like get them.
Nice. Yep.
That's the other.
Ah. So those are, I mean, phylum Annelida, they're earthworms. It's Annelus' ring. They're very closely related. Nice.
Yeah, and then
Face only a mother can love.
no, that's them raking them up.
Oh.
Oh, that's much less
Oh, I
cool
see.
than pulling them out.
Yeah, that's actually. And then
Oh no!
You did a work
Did it
study.
still links?